If you've been around art YouTube, you probably know this book. Baylee Jae is an artist on YouTube, and she has created her own sketchbooks. She gets these manufactured to her own specifications for artists with her personalized embroidered cover. This is her cat Kiki and her cat Midna, and these are soft cloth cover, but they're also hardcover, but they're soft embroidery. And she has them all personally illustrated, and they've got this beautiful thick paper and this custom size that is absolutely perfect for filming as well as just a really nice size. It's not too big, it's not too small. I love the rounded corners, and it's just in general a gorgeous sketchbook. Let's get some of the detail in here. Look at the little kitties and flowers. The back is blank. The whole thing feels really nice. I've used a lot of sketchbooks, and this one feels really, really well made. It's not perfect bound, I believe is the term. It's not glued. It is sewn, so your pages are not going to fall out easily. It is a pretty much stay flat. We've got a little bit of bounce, but that's to be expected with a new book. And yeah, it's just really amazing quality. Listen to this paper. Yeah. I am excited to test this out. I know that it is primarily aimed towards markers. It's nice, smooth paper. I did get white. It comes in cream and dot grid as well, but I believe the dot grid is no longer going to be available soon. I don't believe going forward she's going to have dot grid, but I really, really want to try one of the cream as well. You guys let me know if you'd be interested in seeing me do a review on that as well. And I'm like very curious what exact color the cream is once I have it in my hands. I have seen a lot of people using this sketchbook, so I kind of knew what to expect going in. Also, obviously, I follow Baylee Jae, so I've seen the start to finish creation process from her very first one. Unfortunately, I didn't get a hold of that one, the mushroom or the daisy one, but I absolutely could not pass up this one with the cute little kitties. It is a Halloween one, but we're not worried about that. It'll take me over a year to fill it anyways. So eventually it'll have Halloween and fall themed artwork in it. I absolutely love the texture on this. It's really thick embroidery. It's hard to tell, hard to get a good angle. You can see here how thick the embroidery is. And it's just feels super nice, super lovely. And let's go ahead and test it with various mediums. We're going to test this with marker, watercolor, gouache, colored pencils, acrylic ink, watercolor ink, acrylics, and of course regular old pen and ink. Before I jump into the artwork, I want to address the first page. Not this page, but this page right here. So something that is extremely common, excuse me, camera. Something that is extremely common with books is that this first page is a little bit together. That's just normal. I'm not calling that a defect in any way. That's just how books be. So what I want to do is, instead of putting an artwork on this first page, I'm going to put my artwork here. And part of that is because I don't want to put anything here because I don't want to mess up this page. Like, I don't want anything that might bleed through. I do love the way it's white on this side and then pattern on this side. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some scrapbooking kind of things. So this is what comes with the book, and it came in this cute little environmentally friendly bag here. And I think I'm going to insert this because it's just the right length that I could say insert it here so it's its own little cute little like flap here. And I think I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it on this side. It just barely fits, but it does fit. Let me move my art supplies around a little. See what I mean by it's the perfect size for filming? Usually I use a taller book, and so it's a little weird. Yes, this is just right. Just fits on there. I don't know what would work best. I don't have a glue stick or anything, but I do have some double-sided tape, and I'm going to try that. Of course, my double-sided tape has fur all over it. So don't mind the hairs. I have 4 cats, if you didn't know. So that just happens. Let's see, how tall is this? It's almost up to the top and bottom, but not quite. It's so nerve-wracking to do something like this, because once I put this double-sided tape down, it is permanent. Like, I could put something over the top of it, but there's no taking it back. But that being said, it is a sketchbook, and I do want to treat it as a sketchbook. I don't want to treat it so precious that I never use it. Give it some extra stickiness here in the center. This double-sided tape is really sticky, so it ought to be good. And this is blank on this side. One reason I won't tape this down is because it's got this beautiful print on the other side. Whoops. Now let's see, I'm going to put something under this to hold it up so I can press on it. I just put my watercolor palette under it. Hey, that seems to hold pretty well. Nice. I was a little worried about it. It's not as permanent as like glue. It's not as durable probably. And for this, I think I'm going to use washi tape. I might actually use regular clear tape. It'll have better adhesion, and I can cover it with a different washi tape eventually. Much easier. So I'm going to get in this crease. And just like that, we have a little insert. And eventually I'll have washi tape on either side of this to make it look all cute. Voiceover Jazzy here to talk about what I am sketching and the process and how I felt using this book. As you can see right now, I'm using Pentel in it, and I will talk about each of the different products that I use as I use them. The Pentel went down really smoothly. This is a 0.7 mechanical pencil. I believe it is either 2B or HB. And it just went down nice and smooth. Not too much to say about that. I mean, a pencil's kind of a pencil, right? I'm working on my little dragon character. Her name is Foxglove, and I hope you enjoy seeing a bit of the process. This is actually my Twitch mascot. I came up with her because my emotes on Twitch are like a little purple dragon, and so I ended up painting the dragon on stream once, and it just kind of snowballed from there. So she's an actual character now, and she is a pseudo dragon. If you don't know what that is, in Dungeons and Dragons, pseudo dragons are really tiny little cat-sized dragons, and they have a poisonous stinger, and quite often they're like wizards, familiars, and things like that, because they're still dragons, so they're like intelligent and whatnot. But I'm just going in here with some details. I really wanted to make this a nice, kind of simple piece, but also kind of detailed piece, because I wanted to see how hard I could go on the materials, how much I could make the first page in this, or any page in this book, like a full illustration. Like, what could I throw at it? After all, I am going to be using basically all of the types of art supplies that I have, so that's why I'm going in with all of these little scale textures and whatnot. I just wanted to make sure it's nice and detailed. I will also be going in with a background here pretty soon. I'm going to be drawing in some foxgloves for Foxglove. If you don't know, Foxglove is a flower, and it's actually a lot taller than I realized. Like, I've been around foxglove flowers a lot, and when I'm looking at this piece, and I just mentioned that pseudo dragons are around the size of a cat, I realized that these foxglove in the background are very small because they grow taller than me. Like, they grow like 6 feet or so tall. But these are little foxglove for little foxglove dragon. Anyway, I might ramble a bit in this video because it's kind of a long one, and I don't necessarily have a lot to say about each step. like this one specifically is pencil, and I don't have a whole lot to say about the pencil, but it was very, very fun to work with. I love the size of this sketchbook. It's just perfect. It's the right amount of lots of detail, and you can get a lot in there, but it's not too big, not too small, and it's square, which is so cool. I've never had a real full-size square sketchbook before. Okay, I'm going in with marker now. So this is, I believe, what Baylee had in mind for the sketchbook was marker, because she is at least at one point was primarily an alcohol-based marker artist. And I will say I did not try water-based markers. I know that they would tear up the paper because that's just what they do. They'll tear up anything. They'll tear up watercolor paper. And I do use watercolors, so that's the same as just using, like, scrubbing water-based markers on like a piece of plastic or something and using water with it. That's the only way I would use them in a sketchbook, other than really quick lines anyways. That being said, this went down really smooth. As you can see, there is not really any feathering or bleeding at all. I would say that this paper is really similar to a very high quality, almost mixed media kind of paper. Something like a mixed media or a Bristol board kind of paper. It actually reminds me a lot of Bristol board, but Bristol board has a little bit of a color to it, and also ink spreads and like feathers a little bit more on Bristol board than it does in this sketchbook. This sketchbook was very, very good for marker, and I put down a lot of marker. I basically do an entire base coat. It's not just these shadows and reflected highlight colors that I'm putting down. I will go over it with a whole solid base coat for the entire background except for the sky. And because this is a sketchbook, I don't have to worry about my artwork getting faded or anything if I have accidentally leave it out, as long as I close the sketchbook up, because alcohol-based markers are not light fast. So they're pretty much best used always in something like a sketchbook, unless you're gonna immediately put them behind UV protected glass. But I think it's best to use them this way, and then I can turn these things into stuff like prints or stickers that can be light fast. You can see here with the wings especially that these markers are blending beautifully on this paper. I have absolutely nothing negative to say. I really enjoyed working with it. I am so excited to continue doing more pieces in this sketchbook, and I love that I can do a full illustration and feel like one of those fancy YouTube artists that, or like Instagram or whatever, that you see with their really nice pretty illustrations in their nice pretty fancy sketchbooks. But most of the time I just use like a spiral bound sketchbook, and it's not all fancy looking and nice. I do a lot of sketching and planning and whatnot as well in my sketchbooks, but I feel like every artist wants that one sketchbook that's like a really, really nice aesthetic sketchbook. So maybe now I can have this one for a while and leave my other type of preliminary sketching and whatnot to my spiral bound ones. Another bonus to having the type of binding that Baylee's sketchbook has is that a spiral bound sketchbook, the pages like shift and whatnot when it's being moved around. So like if you put it in a bag and stuff very often, which will make your papers leave residue like on the other side, they'll smudge and whatnot. I have that happen a lot with all of my pencil sketches. That doesn't happen nearly as much in a book like this. At this point, I'm really, really happy. There is no bleed through, even though I have the protective film. I would still recommend using something to protect the other page just in case, but it ghosted as is normal with pretty much any sketchbook, almost any paper, period. But it did not actually bleed all the way through. And I love the way it's turning out, but then I I ended up getting a job and working full-time and not coming back to this for like a year, so this is very outdated. I was also a little daunted to go in with more materials. I don't know why. I use all kinds of different mixed media all the time, so there's really no reason to get nervous, but I did. But as you can see here, my setup has changed a little bit because it's been like a year. I'm going in first with alcohol inks, or sorry, not alcohol inks, acrylic inks. And this laid down really nice. This is the first very wet medium that I put down. and I could tell that it is reacting, again, kind of similar to, I would say, Bristol board or another really thick and nice type of mixed media sort of paper. And I laid that down and it absorbed nicely, no problems, no strange patchiness. There was no areas that the ink like didn't want to stick to. That is sometimes a problem with certain papers. You'll have just like a patch on the page that reacts differently and it makes like odd textures. So I went in with this blue and I did a bit of shading. I'm going to add shading in various types of media here as I use them to, you know, practice with the page and see how it works. This yellow ink is not acrylic ink. This is, I had to pause and think for a second. This is a watercolor ink. So I put this one down second because I think it's reactivatable. It pretty much went down just like the blue ink and I really liked it. It worked quite well. If anyone is curious about the materials, I will have them listed down below. I used quite a few different ones, so you'll be able to see a whole list of everything that I used in this video, as well as, again, the links to Baylee's website and sketchbook. Now that I have the inks down, I go in with some colored pencils. I'm not a huge fan of using colored pencils. I don't really like the texture that they give, but I still tried to give them a fair shot. I used the side of the colored pencil to create quite a bit of texture on the ground here, and I actually like the way it looks. I normally don't like that at all, but it works well to give like a dirt or earthy kind of texture. I just don't like to use it when it's in combination with, say, the marker on the scales of the dragon and whatnot. Not a fan of the grainy texture. But I did some outlining as well, and I chose to use the inks first because I didn't want them to interfere with the colored pencil, or I didn't want the colored pencil to interfere with them, because you can't use wet mediums like watercolor and ink and whatnot on top of colored pencil very well, because it tends to repel the water. Honestly, I should have used watercolor before I did the pencil, but I didn't think about it. I also used a watercolor pencil, which I used mostly in the leaves and a little bit in the ground. I actually do very much like watercolored pencils if they're nice quality. It's kind of how I first got into watercolor in the first place. And as you can see, the colored pencil laid down quite well. The paper has a little bit of tooth, but not too much tooth, not so much that it gives like an unpleasant texture. The next thing I went in with is my favorite medium, which is acrylics. I used a few different brands of acrylics and just went in and did some details on the little dragon. If you hear weird noises in the background, it's the wind. I hope I don't lose power while I'm in the middle of recording this. But anyway, I really loved using acrylic, and I kind of want to use acrylic in sketchbooks more, and I feel like this sketchbook would be a great one to do it in. It obviously worked quite well. I got some good detail in there, and it didn't completely destroy the paper or make it buckle like crazy. This wind is insane. I feel like it's gonna pick up the trailer and blow it away. I wonder if you guys can hear it. Anyway, the next medium I went in with was watercolor, which is another one of my all-time favorites. I liked the way it went on over the top of the acrylic because the acrylic repelled it, so I could make shadows, but the scales would still show through them. and the watercolor went down like a dream. It didn't have any weird like grainy effects or anything like that, and it did not warp the paper too bad at all. After watercolor is gouache, and I just love the way that the gouache goes on, so silky smooth. I'm using Shinhan gouache, so it's pretty good quality, and it just goes on nice and smooth. I paint all the way to the edges, which I think is the main thing that ends up creating a little bit of buckle in the paper, but not too bad. I am really heavy with with most of these materials, but especially the gouache. I went in nice and thick, and it went on great. There's no odd textures. Like I said with the watercolor, there's like no graininess of the paper. I personally prefer a smooth, like hot pressed watercolor paper anyways, as opposed to cold pressed, so I prefer there not to be a lot of texture, and it works well with the gouache as well. There's not too much texture, and it just goes on nice and flat and even. I have not had a single issue with this sketchbook whatsoever. I would say my honest review is it's amazing. I absolutely love it. I do still have a few mediums to use though and try out. I know I already did acrylics, but I thought I would use these acrylic paint markers because I love them and I love using them on everything. I just kind of sculpted everything out a little bit better, redefined some edges, some shadows, and some highlights, just a little bit here and there where I thought the piece needed maybe a little more depth or a little more contrast. But I did try and be a little sparing with them because I already had used acrylics and there's so many other mediums going on. I didn't want to cover up the effects of any of those and just go over them with acrylic markers. I do really like the way I used them to make more of a background though. I didn't actually intend to do this, but I used them to make these shadows of, say, more foxglove in the background. It got a little bit of the gouache picked up on the nib of my paint marker, but I just used a scrap piece of paper to clean that off, so that worked out. I also wholly did not intend to use gel pens, but then I saw these neon gel pens and I was like, well, those match foxglove's colors perfectly, so I didn't actually end up using the green one. I'm not sure why. I should have tried it, but the yellow was a nice, vibrant, poisonous yellow. And to top it all off, I used my Micron pen, and it went down great. I loved it. It went on top of all the other mediums. It went into the sketchbook, and I just used it kind of sparingly to really define edges where they really needed it, or give a little bit more contrast that I wanted a finer detailed line than the acrylic markers gave. And I used it especially sparingly in the background. I think I only added a tiny bit of lines to maybe the stems and maybe a little bit to the leaves, but I think it pulled the whole piece together, and I'm actually really proud of how this piece turned out. Oh, I did actually go in and add a little bit of extra detail to the flowers as well, so that they pulled back from the background. So my final review is 10 out of 10. This is a great sketchbook, and I would absolutely recommend it. It's my favorite sketchbook I think that I own now. and you can see there was a little bit of bowing of the page there, but honestly, with how much I put on there, I'm not surprised any paper would have buckled a little bit. And look at all the little details I got in here, and this isn't even like a large paper. This is just fantastic. Baylee did an amazing job, and check out the links below, and that's about it for this video. Thanks so much for stopping by.